This fella has done something that few congresspeople or senators or really elected officials at all have ever done. He has come out and said that he has had a conversation with at least one, perhaps more people that are high up in the know in these dark, secret, covert projects, and that they have absolutely certified to him that not only are UAPs, some of them, not all of them, under intelligent extraterrestrial or extra-dimensional control, but there has been contact with human beings from some of these entities. It's been going on for a long time. And he said that if the American public knew what he now knows, none of us would be sleeping at night. Now, that gets us into these remarks, because what led me to this particular video was, I wonder how Stephen Greer feels about this fellow. I found a dual interview with him just today that I could not find just a couple days ago when I found this, which is interesting. So I'm going to be watching that soon. But I literally found it as I was getting this to you today to play for everybody. So play what Mr. Burchett had to say not that long ago. I don't know how old this video is.
It's 1 year old.
It's a year ago.
Yeah.
So a year ago, he said this, and I think you'll get the illusions if you know anything about Dr. Greer and his work.
There is a movement in the UFO community that people are opening themselves to demonic suggestion. I know people are doing seances and things to bring these craft down or in or something like that. And to me, it reeks of a demonic suggestion. You open yourself up to that. My dad used to say, if you open yourself up to that, that's when it happens. And not within the UFO movement, but I worry about that because there is a growing community that's what they do, and they talk about their spiritualism and things like that, and you know, it has all the essence of a classic seance, and I worry about that.
All right, there you go. So obviously he is making a very, very specific allusion to Dr. Greer's CE5 protocol to call in extraterrestrial craft and beings. I can't completely dismiss that all things aren't possible. You know, that's not the way I feel about it, but it's clear that Mr. Burchett is calling out Stephen Greer's CE5 protocol. Now, what this leads me to, and then these latest things that he's saying, where he's saying that you shouldn't be sleeping at night if you knew what I knew, et cetera, is the fear-mongering that Dr. Greer talks about when we start to ramp up to that false flag event. We start to ramp up to that panic and fear when the fake or the hoax alien invasion happens, so that these sons of bitches can get their war in space and bilk us for another $68 trillion worth of hardware, and they get to smoke fat cigars and live life on the golf course and make war, which they love to do. So that's my concern. You know, the theological aspect of it, what they are, is fascinating to me. It always will be. I've decided that they're okay. I think they're beyond okay. In fact, I think they're quite benevolent personally, regardless of what their origins are, spiritually, materially, or otherwise. But this is kind of what really caught my attention, was this is that fear-mongering, and it's coming from someone that is a U.S. congressman. And that is unusual, because usually we don't see people in these high places actually say these kinds of things.
Yeah, and I think Tim Burchett is actually a really good example of what you have witnessed yourself with this video. A year ago, that was him. Now, I think that if anyone is listening to this podcast and interested in seeing it, News Nation and Ross Coulthart is his name. He's an Australian news anchor on News Nation. And News Nation has kind of anchored their flagship reporters on this UAP. I think they've really decided that this is kind of like gold when it comes to a certain population of the audience, because there's a lot of these new videos with Tim Burchett, and I would recommend listening to one that was just like 7 days ago, because you can almost see a evolution that Tim Burchett has taken over just a year now that he has been involved in more of these congressional hearings.
Yeah, so you got to wonder, because, again, this is a cloak and dagger game to no end. We constantly sit back and wonder who's telling the truth, if they actually know anything, who's not, who's selling out, who's afraid that they're going to be wet, as they say in the CIA business, and their family could be the same. There's all of these different motivations for saying this, that, or the other. And then there's all of these motivations seemingly for turning a 90 or 180 degree angle 6 months later or a year later or 2 years later. Dr. Greer, of course, has remained consistent throughout. And so his position in all of this, regardless of what you think it might be, has remained the same. It seems that Mr. Burchett's has spun a few times based on what he says he's been introduced to. I mean, I just think with the current power structure that we have, now would seem to be a ripened vine for this kind of thing to start to go down, for starting the hoax alien invasion. Because, let's face it, I don't like to talk about the president, but he has a love for money. And this is going to bring in an awful lot for the military-industrial complex and anybody who is kind to it or forwards its agenda. And I would think that this would be the best opportunity if you required, and you kind of do need a governmental regime's help. I know this is all being fueled, supposedly, if you believe the conspiracy theory that Dr. Greer has presented. You need, those people are in charge of it, but you need a vehicle that is either unaware and yet by default subconsciously on your side, if you will, or that certainly is into the same business that you can manipulate really easily, that you can say, look, this is what we need you to say because we're telling you this. And you can leak little bits of information here, there, and everywhere. There's a story that I just told on the radio not too long ago. My partner's been let go at the station, but we were talking one morning.
Was he made wet? Was he made wet?
No, because I've talked to him since.
Oh, good.
Or perhaps who I've talked to since is his AI clone. Maybe they've Taylor Swifted him, and
oh, no.
That's what he is now. So I don't know. But I think it was Jackie Gleason's birthday, or it was Richard Nixon's birthday. And we were talking about a story that is pretty well known, I think, in the ufology community, about Jackie giving a comedy appearance in South Florida one night, and Nixon being there for it because I believe he vacationed there. And so anyway, they were both there in Miami probably, or Fort Lauderdale or somewhere like that. And it's like midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, and Jackie's in his hotel room, and of course, he's probably just having a stiff drink and getting ready to go to bed, or I don't know. And the phone rings, and it's President Nixon. And he says, Jackie, would you like to see something you'll never forget in your whole life? And Jackie says, sure, why not? I got nothing else to do. And so off they go to this location that
Mr. President, I'm not that kind of man.
It's a building within a building within a building within a building, the way the story goes, behind a gate, behind a gate, behind a locked gate, behind a gate with a guy. And the guns get progressively larger as you go through each stage of the gate. So Jackie's like, what is all of this stuff? And anyway, the story is that Dick walks him through some series of dark corridors into a room, and then he says, are you ready to see it, Jackie? And whoosh, off goes the covers, and there is a dead alien entity or extraterrestrial biological entity. And Jackie, according to, again, the story then as it perpetuated within his own realm, people that were close to him that he actually told this story to, because of course he was said, now you can't tell anybody about this, Jackie, not even your wife. She can't know. We might have to do something to her. So he was very guarded about who he told, but apparently the people that he did tell, they later reported that he was shaken to his soul because of this. And I can imagine you would be, you're lying around one night in your hotel room after a comedy club performance, and the next thing you know, the president of the United States is showing you a dead extraterrestrial being from another world.
Who happens to go by the nickname of Tricky Dicky, by the way. Okay.
But you'll notice they don't have any dickies. They're smooth down there. We're still looking into how they have a good time.
That's terrible.